I'm sitting here wearing my Sabaton Christmas sweater. Your jealousy is so transparent. And I am Indy Neidell.
And I'm Joakim Brodén.
No, you're not.
I have to be.
You have to be. Okay, I'm sure you'll tell us in a minute. Okay, fine. Well, anyway, this is Sabaton History. Okay, let's see. So far on this channel, we have covered a metal god, the messiah of rock and roll, the kings of heavy metal. I think it's time for a metal queen. It's time for Doro.
Werden immer zueinander stehen, für immer. Keine Macht wird uns jemals trennen, werde wie ein Tier kämpfen, du lässt mich kennen.
Dorothee Pesch was born in 1964 in Düsseldorf, Germany. Already as a teenager, she took her first steps into the world of heavy metal, which was a world growing at a rapid rate in the late 70s and early 1980s. After a short stint with two underground bands, Snakebite and Assault, she found a place in the newly created band Warlock in 1982, mainly created from Snakebite, actually. Although the name Warlock and the freaky-looking guy on the cover of their debut album, Burning Witches, might suggest a mythical, more fantastic theme, their style was actually classic heavy metal of the early 80s. Fast drum rhythms and shredding guitar riffs were accompanied by elements of rough thrash. Pretty similar like the sound of, old Judas Priest, right? Powerful songs like Sign of Satan and Homicide Rocker had the album kicking in quite a few doors for them. It sold well, and the band attracted an audience around the German heavy metal scene of the Ruhr and beyond. With a record deal with Vertigo, the first album was with Mausoleum, Warlock released their second album, Hellbound, just a year later. Hellbound continued the first album's fast, earthshaker rock, but with better production quality. And the clubs in Germany were filling fast at their shows as a heavy metal boom swept the country. Bands like Sodom, Creator, or Destruction took the lead, but Warlock was right there with them. They certainly nailed the image of the mid-'80s heavy metal scene, right? Long hair, riveted jeans, and leather. But it was undeniably Doro's strong presence as a front woman on stage that made them stand out. The mid-'80s heavy metal scene was very male-dominated. Sure, there were all-female bands like Girl School and soon enough Vixen, but Warlock hit the jackpot with Doro fronting them. The story goes that the other members of the band had initially been hesitant to go with a female vocalist, but once they heard her voice in the studio, all doubts vanished. Even tracks from the first couple albums, like Catch My Heart or Hateful Guy, show her wide vocal range. From slow, heartfelt ballads to the obligatory air raid siren, which I would do, but I can't, Doro could hit the notes without faltering, but her voice had a certain, a roughness to it, with a hint of a German accent that resonates very well with the rawness of rock and roll. Finding their niche, Warlock released True as Steel, again 1 year later, in 1986. Although the name sounds maybe like a typical Manowar album, this record was seen as the softest of the first three albums. While Doro still sang like a lady in a rock and roll hell, the band's sound started leaning towards a more modern power metal approach, with slower, more bluesy songs sprinkled in. Still, with the credo, "Vorwärts, all right?" Warlock was making an ever bigger name for themselves, touring Europe and opening for giants like Dio, Judas Priest, Wasp. Doro also became the first woman to front a band at the Castle Donington Monsters of Rock Festival. A fourth Warlock album, Triumph and Agony, the next year, 1987, is considered by many to be the best Warlock record out there. The album itself, it's a wild mix of rock hymns like All We Are and aggressive speed metal numbers like 3 Minute Warning and catchy ballads like Fur Immer, Forever. However, Triumph and Agony was, in hindsight, a very fitting name for the band at the time. While the fans loved the record and it was a commercial success, the band had torn itself apart. Members had come and gone, leaving over creative differences, since the new sound strayed too far from their original vision. But there is some truth to that, as the rough metal sound of the beginning had gone over to a sound that was more suited for music you might find on the radio. There was a major change of management too. Now, there was an attempt to bring the band to international acclaim, but the old manager would not let go of the name Warlock. Long story short, Doro found herself in the US as the only original member of Warlock and unable to legally release new music under that name. She already lived in New York by then. Well, this would certainly break some, but Doro chose to break out. She assembled a new outfit and released a follow-up album to Triumph and Agony with Force Majeure in 1989. Sound-wise, Doro continued in the footsteps of Warlock, showing her typical strength as a powerful vocalist. However, there were some odd choices on the record, like using a cover of Whiter Shade of Pale as the album's opening track. Not the typical first impression you'd expect, especially when there were real heavy hitters like Save My Soul or Hard Times also on the track list. While Force Majeure was not the hit she had hoped for, Doro once more doubled down on her solo career and released a self-titled album in 1990. Doro, with its uplifting hard rock songs and thoughtful ballads, was in many ways a step forward towards her iconic sound of today, but the record, like its predecessor, did not sell well. Despite being produced by none other than Gene Simmons from Kiss, the record flopped outside of Europe. Part of that was likely because of the 90s metal shift towards a more grungy, doomier sound, or even towards the nu metal sound, which affected traditional heavy metal bands all across the board. The other part was Doro trying to find her own niche. The follow-up albums, True at Heart in 1991 and Angels Never Die in 1993, were musically all over the place, between the old metal sound, radio pop rock, and experimental stuff. And they were produced by people who primarily worked with pop, blues, or country. So Doro's sound of the 90s moved further away from the Warlock era. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's bad or anything. I mean, you can go and listen for yourself. I'm just saying that these records had a harder time appealing to the old crowd. Critically, the low point really came with Machine to Machine and Love Me in Black from 1995 and 1998, which were caught somewhere in between industrial distortion effects and rock pop club music. But as the 90s came to an end, so too did what many call the dark ages of heavy metal. Doro as well began to have something of a renaissance. Calling the Wild from the year 2000 and Fight from 2002 were seen as major steps back to the rock and roll roots. Songs like Kiss Me Like a Cobra, Always Live to Win, and Burn It Up were clear signs that she was back on track. But while returning to old strengths, Doro also had some ideas about how to branch out. 2004's classic Diamonds was a surprising album in that it was recorded with a classical orchestra. In fact, some songs were specifically rewritten to fit classical instruments. And seriously, I did not know that I needed a symphonic version of Breaking the Law. But I do. Have you guys heard you guys ever listened to, okay, this is your homework as well. Go and listen to the Doro's album, Classic Diamonds, and listen to Breaking the Law. It starts off with just the guitar, but then it's a full symphonic version of Breaking the Law. And I didn't know that I needed that until I realized that I did need that, you know? Go look it up on YouTube or something. It's really good. Anyhow, 2006's Warrior Soul is probably where modern Doro really found her place. By 2009's Fear No Evil, she had her shtick down, delivering a steady mix of hymns, fast, catchy rock, and emotional ballads. Raise Your Fist continued this pretty solidly. It was soon 3 decades since Warlock had released Burning the Witches, and the Metal Queen had cemented her place in the hearts and minds of heavy metal fans. By now, she also had lifelong relationships with many giants of the scene, and duets with everyone from, I don't know, Lemmy, Rob Halford, Udo Dirkschneider, well, you know, the list goes on and on. In 2018, Doro released Forever Warriors, Forever United, dedicated to Lemmy. And she really celebrates the metal scene with the hymn All for Metal, right? And it has a music video that you all out there and you all in here should check out, okay? Because there are a whole bunch of guest artists in that video that throw in some backups on that. And you might even spot a certain band that favors camouflage if you keep your eyes peeled in the video for that. You might not. In 2023, Doro celebrated 40 years on stage with Conquerors, Forever Strong and Proud. Certainly her charisma, her stage presence, her relentless energy, and powerful voice have earned her the title of Metal Queen. She has, of course, won, well, a lot of awards around the world, and is considered by many to be the best female vocalist in the Hall of Heavy Metal history. Doro has played over 3,500 concerts. That's a lot. In over 60 countries and has sold more than 10 million records. So, what else is there to say about Doro? Well, I should ask someone whose life revolves around metal that question if I want to find the answer, right? So I will do that right now. Thank you, Indy. I am going to talk to someone who can tell us a little about Doro. But before that, please tell me why you are Joakim.
Okay, so actually, Joakim is supposed to sit here right now talking to you.
Right now, right here.
Yeah, that was the original script and that was the original plan.
So, Joakim, let me ask you a few questions about Doro. Now, let's go back to the almost Guinness World Record you made in signing. Tell us about that time and how you, Joakim, from Sabaton, ended up singing with Doro. It's quite an interesting story. This is before you grew the hair and everything and stuff. But, you know, go ahead. I'm sure they all like to hear it. Joakim?
No, now I be Per again.
Okay, now it's Per. Okay.
I changed back. But yeah, it was some years ago.
Yeah.
We are playing at the heavy metal festival Wacken Open Air. And there we said, okay, we're gonna stick around and hang out at the festival a little bit, and we can do something. We can hang out with the fans. We can do a signing session. The festival asked us, can you do at least 30 minutes, because like that. And I said, why would we do 30 minutes? It's nobody will have a chance to meet us. And they're like, but at least 30 minutes. And I said, no. We will not do it because it will be so few people, a lot of people queuing up in line, and nobody actually has the chance to come and see us. So I said, we're gonna sit there until we sign everything. And the guys from the organization said, well, that's not going to work because there comes another band afterwards. I said, then we are not doing it. So in the end, we came to the compromise that they built an entire signing stage only exclusively for Sabaton. And there was a huge line of people.
Yeah.
And we decided, okay, we're going to sit here until we sign everything. And like couple, like say 4 hours into the signing session.
Yeah. I was going to say 9 minutes later, they were done.
There was Joakim promised Doro earlier that he's going to join her and sing on stage. And she goes onto the stage starting to sing. And Joakim is like, damn, I promised her. So he's like, guys, can you sit here and wait for me and keep signing? And I'll go there. And so we are sitting and signing. And people are, where's Joakim? Oh, he's over there singing on the stage right now. And then he came back. And he's like, oh, guys, I'm back. And a little bit later in the evening, he also went to sing with Gravedigger.
Okay, well.
So, and while we were still sitting and signing. In the end, I don't know how long we were sitting and signing, but it was a good portion of a day. And
was it fun?
Yeah, it was fun, and it was really good. And it was a suggestion by some of the organizers that this would be a Guinness World Record. And we're like, oh, all right, whatever. It was not our intention to do it, but if it is a Guinness World Record, yes. But then there was a suggestion back from the organization of the Guinness World Record thing, and they said, no, we wanted to change it. So the most amount of autographs written in 1 hour is what we're gonna put in. And we said, that means that everybody just have to run in front of us.
Yeah.
And you have to click 2 seconds per person. We said, no, we will not allow that. We will not agree to that.
I wouldn't do that either.
So that's why we ended up to sit there an entire day and signing autographs.
We're talking like 16, 17 hours?
No, but we're talking maybe 6, 7, 8 hours. I can't remember exactly. But it was like a working day for
can I ask
people.
Can I ask the audience here? Have any of you guys ever had to or had to signing autographs? Have you ever signed autographs and stuff? Once you start signing more than 30 or 40, it really becomes a pain for you. Not because you like talking to people. You like talking. It's nice to say hi. You like that song? That's great. But then it really, you get cramps and stuff. I'm my hat is off to you for 6, 7 hours of signing autographs. But it does beg the question: whose record were you chasing? Like, who has the record for most autographs?
I don't know. I don't think that there was a record.
Okay.
But the organization really wanted it to be the most amount signed in a short period of time. And I think that it was because they were lazy and they only wanted to stay around for 1 hour.
For an hour. That's because when people come for that, they don't want to just sign it and go away. They want to say hi. You want to say hi to, I mean, come on. If you came up to Per and you wanted an autograph from Per, wouldn't you like to say, hey, Per, how was your lunch? Right? Something like that. And hear what he has to say, right?
And we had Snowy Shaw in the band by then as the drummer. And I mean, he is kind of a very talkative guy.
Okay.
So he kept the whole line waiting quite a lot because he would comment on anything. And then suddenly, I mean, if there is coming, let's say, a few thousand people.
Yeah.
A good bunch of them would somehow have a relationship or they would have a cat or a dog or something resembling that on something like that. And he would be changing and stopping and talking for that person about that cat and dog or this for a good portion of time. That was the most important for him.
This is making me think that somebody out there who's watching this must know someone from the Guinness World Record Committee and stuff. I'm curious if that is true, that he didn't feel like sitting around. Can't you just have him the most in the quickest time? But this is actually that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about Doro, right?
True.
So, and what is you as a metal dude? What's your relationship with Doro and Doro's music?
No, of course. I mean, it was a record I bought very early, and All We Are was this anthem that was like, wow, so cool. And being in a band very early, and way before Sabaton, that was one of the songs, like along with Youth Gone Wild of Skid Row and a couple of others that we were actually rehearsing and playing. So I love that, and plenty of other songs. And I think when we're like suggesting like, okay, we're gonna do a cover and let's do Fur Immer, it was super odd, very strange choice of song, and it was for a compilation album of Doro, and everybody fight for doing All We Are song, and nobody fought for doing Fur Immer. And we did that one, and Joakim did excellent because the vocals are in German. And so Joakim singing in German, that was the first time he was singing in German, actually.
Does he speak German?
He doesn't speak German much. He knows like beer, noch ein Bier. And
because he plays in Sabaton.
But other than that, he doesn't speak German. But he sang German pretty damn well on that track, and I think it's a very strong render of the song.
I have to say about something I enjoyed very much. It's me and Markus Linke who write the history parts of this episode, and Markus is old metalhead and stuff. But he and I had a lot of particularly fun writing this one because, like, you know, when you did like, you know, the history of Judas Priest or the history of
Manowar,
not just Manowar, but also Motorhead was what I was thinking, but particularly Motorhead and Judas Priest. I mean, we have strong relationships to that, and Markus is a big Manowar fan going way back and stuff. But neither of us have a very much of a historical relationship to Doro. I'd never listened to many of Doro's or Warlock's tunes, and neither had Markus, even though he's a German metal dude and stuff. So the last couple of weeks has been really fun going through, because in order to be able to do this some kind of justice to write, we had to listen to at least some of every single one of the albums and stuff. Which is
40 years.
Yeah, but it's also, but it's like, I mean, writing the history of Motorhead, I don't really have to listen to much to write that. I've already listened to it. You know, I could, you know, write. But writing the history of Doro, this was something new for me, and I found that there was a lot of really good stuff out there that I was quite surprised by. Particularly, and it happens to me with like with Glenn Danzig, I tend to like the earliest stuff with like the Misfits and stuff. I really like the Warlock stuff. I thought that's some of my favorite stuff. For me, this was one of the most fun episodes to write. Not just, I mean, okay, it involved a lot more work than most episodes to write, but it would involve fun work, sitting there, you know, with headphones on, listening, going, what do I think of this album? What's happened to the sound on this album compared to the last album? Why is that review bullshit? Why is that review correct? You know, so I guess I should thank you
you're welcome.
For broadening my horizons, because that's what we do here on Sabaton History, isn't it?
We're teaching, and it's not very often you learn something here.
That's actually true,
especially about the topics.
That's actually true. The topics we cover are topics I'm usually very well versed in and stuff. But so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank my special guest star, Joakim Brodén, from and Per Sundström from Sabaton as well. 2 in 1. I'd like to thank them for teaching me a little bit about Doro.
You're welcome. And maybe that's it for
today for Doro, the Metal Queen, on Sabaton History. Oh, give it up!
There's a message in this song. Hay una promesa en el sonido Fur Immer.
Thanks for watching. That was awesome, right? So please subscribe to our channel and click that little bell so you get notifications the next time we release another episode of Sabaton History channel.